find your crew, find your socialization, get that body moving, and like get out of the house. Welcome to Mom Meets World, a podcast talking all things motherhood, friendships, and life. We're your hosts, Alaina Brookmeyer
and Peyton and Alaina. We have a lot of ground to cover, so let's dive right in.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, guys. How are you? Welcome back to another episode of Mom Meets World. We had a wonderful time today, kind of chatting about life, catching up. Alaina has some tattoo ideas. I just got off a really fun camping trip with my friends, but I'm really looking forward to having you guys listen in on our conversation all about Alaina's healthy lifestyle choices with food, exercise, kind of how she's pivoted her career path into getting into just weight training and focusing on helping other women as a personal trainer. We touch on a lot of topics, but majority of the time it's just how she's found a really wonderful balance in her life and how she kind of wants to share that with others. And I'm really looking forward to you guys all having a look and listen. So if you guys didn't know, we are on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can sit and watch our videos. You get to check out of Alaina's guns throughout the show. But it is another way for you guys to kind of experience the Mom Meets World podcast is by looking and listening. So what did you think of the episode, girl? Anything you want to add in?
I mean, like I kind of said at the end of it, wrapping up, I'm like, I could talk about this stuff for forever. I could talk about just strength training for a whole episode. So I think I touched on all the bases and gave a little sprinkle of how other women can kind of benefit from realistic goals and gave some tips and tricks for nutrition. So I think a lot of people are going to benefit from listening to this one. It's a really good one on just like taking care of yourself in general, especially when we take care of others, right? We're the caretakers for our families. So it's very important to take care of ourselves.
Yep. Well, excited for you all to hear it. So let's dive in.
Let's do it. All right. So go ahead and fill me in on what's been happening in your week.
Yes, week is good. I did want to give a good little update. Cooper is doing much better at daycare. We officially had a really wonderful drop-off yesterday. We came off a big weekend. We had friends in town. We went to our friend's birthday party at the club. And so I kind of thought it was going to be a hard drop-off. Chase actually came with me because I've been really struggling. So a really big win. We dropped off Cooper and he ran right over to the teacher and then sat on the couch and they watched the little Thomas the Trains. And then I said, okay, bye-bye, buddy. And he goes, bye-bye, mama, love you. And that was like a really big win because so
peace
far
out.
He's been crying every time. So yes,
Aww,
peace out, Mom.
Yay.
See you later. So
that's good. Amazing. Was that Chase's first time doing drop-off with you?
Chase's first time at drop-off, yeah. The highlight of the week so far, and then another really awesome takeaway is we just had our first group camping trip weekend. So we went to a place called Potato Point with two other couple friends. We all had little cabins on the lake. So the ocean kind of goes around through a little river and there's a giant lake, and it was amazing. We all had cabins and the kids could just play all day long. The cabins have kitchens, but we all put our food in our friend Lauren's kitchen. And so we cooked all these meals and the kids just spent all day running around and playing and fishing. And there's obviously with the lake, it's a little bit of a beachfront entryway. So it was fun because the kids could just play. And if you're from America, we call it a dock. And so you can kind of run off the dock and jump into the lake. But down here, they call it a pontoon. And so all weekend, we just spent swimming and outside. The weather was 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So 25 degrees Celsius. And the water is just 75 and stunning. And so it was just a gorgeous weekend to see the kids playing together and all the parents got to hang out. And it's kind of like one of those peak memories from me growing up is doing these big camping trip weekends with my family. And now as a mom going camping with other friends and creating these memories for my kid, it just was just such an incredible feeling. So I'm coming off a high from that, feeling really special. How are you? How was your week?
Good. Yeah. Less adventurous than you, but yeah, just continuing just momming every day, and Ben's been just cranking at work. I think I've mentioned on here before, but he's an engineer for an electric car company called Lucid out here. So he is just in full force. So it's almost Some days are just very long for mama over here if I don't know when he's getting home from work. So just cranking along over here, doing my own overtime as stay-at-home mom. But outside of that, something that like I've been spending kind of my own brain juice on and creativity is I've been trying to think of a cute little tattoo idea to have on me, kind of like relating to Chloe, right? Like symbolizing Chloe and like my connection with her. And I don't want it to be, and no hate to anyone if you have something like this, but just giving examples, like I personally don't want something like a handprint, like her handprint on me, or I don't know, just something of that sort. I just want to think a little bit more outside of the box.
Yeah.
So just cruising on Pinterest, and I've explained already how freaking wild my girlie is, but she's also a little sweetie. So I'm thinking wildflower to be
Loving
kind of
that.
like, I know, and it's still dainty and cute. Like I have a few tattoos existing sprinkled on me. No sleeves or anything like that. But so
Just
I'm
yet.
just like, okay, yeah, I know. I'm working on it. Yeah.
Your husband has a full sleeve almost.
He does. He's very tatted. Yes, I like it. So yeah, I'm less dark and edgy like him, but so I'm thinking little wildflowers. So I was all over Pinterest, of course, and I kind of just wanted it to be a single stem and just like a single flower and just be really dainty and small. But then I came across this one example picture of kind of like a same wildflower style, like two different wildflowers, but then their stems are intertwined ever so slightly to where it makes a very organic, like infinity symbol. And
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the intention of like, but I picked up on it. So I was like, that's adorable. And one of the flowers was slightly larger and the other one's slightly smaller. And so I was
I
just
love
like,
it.
that really resonated with me. So I kind of want to book an appointment and like get it done. You know how it is out here. Like you can't get tatted, during the summer because you have to,
Can't get it wet and all these
yeah,
things.
no
Yeah.
wetness, no direct sun, all that good stuff. So I'm kind of excited about it. I'm kind of like hooked on it already, but I like to let tattoo ideas kind of sink in a little bit before I jump the
Do you,
gun.
do you know where you want to get it at on your body?
That is another question I'm kind of playing around with. I'm almost like, oh, it'd be cute to be kind of by my heart, but
Yeah.
I'm also like, I don't know. I like my tats to be spaced out too, or
Yeah.
maybe on my ankle
Yeah.
in a dainty way. I don't know. I'm playing around
Cute.
with it. What do you think?
Oh, I don't know. I love tattoos. I was going to say the back of
Mm-hmm.
your arm, but you already have your beautiful
Mm-hmm.
hummingbird there. That's actually
Yes.
one of the first compliments I gave you as a friend. We were at swimming
Oh.
lessons, and I think your tattoo was relatively new. And I was like, I want to
Uh-huh.
find an in with this girl. I got to find a way to say something. And I had just gotten a paper airplane on the back of my arm when I went to the Taylor Swift concert with my best friend Lexi. And I saw yours and I was like, oh, I really like your hummingbird. And you were like, oh, thanks. And I was like, I just got my tattoo too. We're friends in the same tattoo spot kind of thing.
Twins.
Yeah. Look, I definitely like the ankle idea. I think the hard part for me would be if I were to get a tattoo with Cooper or something in that regards, I want to show it off. And I think if you put it too far, like by your heart or whatever, you're not going to really want to flash people every time
True.
you see them. But in the same note, tattoos are actually only for you and for the symbolism for you. So if it's something that you're just like, she's going to be close for my heart forever, I like it just next to this strap or next to my collarbone or wherever it is all about you in that regard. So I think you'll be
Mm-hmm.
perfect. I did see something really cute that's like right behind their ear, and you're someone who actually like
Yeah.
puts your hair in a ponytail all the time because working out, hence the conversation that we're having in a few minutes. But in that same note, like maybe something kind of cute behind your ear or kind of around your neck area, in like dainty, cute kind of just kissing your neck area. That's also really cute. I
That's
mean,
true. Yeah. I was playing around with like collarbone-ish general area, but yeah, I don't know. We'll have to play
yeah,
around with it.
will keep us in the loop.
Yeah. So yeah, as we're gonna ease into our main topic today, we're gonna do our moment focused on this theme, which is kind of working out and fitness and kind of self-care in that realm. So do you have anything that you've been loving that you would want to give a little moment to, a shout out to, that you recommend?
Yes. So, as we all know, the juggle of life and balancing kids and groceries and working and fitness is definitely a bit challenging. And so down here, I have subscribed to this thing called Better Me Home Yoga. So it's kind of like an at-home Pilates yoga course. I did a 28-day subscription a couple months ago. Then from that was like a free first month. And then from there on, you pay a small membership. And essentially just gives you each day a new exercise to do. You can like allot how long you want to be working out for. So like, for example, if I wanted to do Cooper's nap time, I could do a full hour workout. Or if it's something where I want, while he's playing or distracted with something, I could do a 15-minute exercise then and then later on in the day. And it's kind of curated to your body, to your shape, to your habits, to kind of what works best with your life. And I've really, really found a lot of enjoyment. Some days I find a lot more motivation to get onto it than others. But the big thing is convenience. And I think as moms, you need something that's a little bit convenient to get after, and kind of takes away that excuse that sometimes we have creeping in our head of, oh, I don't want to go to the gym, or, oh, Chase had a long day at work, so I don't really want to find him watching Cooper while I go out to the gym or on a big long walk. This kind of like holds you accountable. It pops up little reminders on your phone, like a little app. It's like, hey, it's 9 o'clock. You haven't done your workout today. Why don't we schedule 15 minutes in? So that's my
I
little
like it.
recommendation. I'm really enjoying it.
Cute. And then is it a follow along situation or it just tells you what to do?
So a little bit of both. So most of the exercises do have a little video, and you could pay a little bit extra for a coach to be there in the class with you. It's definitely like a
Oh, cool.
pre-organized video, but it seems like if I said I wanted to spend the extra money, it would be a coach that would go and do those classes with me. So it'd be a 30 minutes. She'd be on the call and she would be like, all right, this is the exercise there. Da, 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 da. And then if you go up to the next tier, it's like a live call with a trainer. So there's definitely different
Nice.
tiers of it, but I'm really enjoying it. And it's kind of helping get me confident and ready for summer as swimsuit season's here. Every body is a beach body, but I'm trying to embrace the body I have and kind of just tone up those little target areas that I find myself sucking in a little bit more when I'm out and about.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. Feeling stronger and just healthier and yeah, love. I'm
Yeah.
I'm
What
glad that
about
you
you?
found that for yourself.
Thanks.
Yeah, I going in a little bit of a different route of like, I have my own little home gym and it's nothing extravagant by any means, but I have what I consider the essentials and something that has always been a go-to for me to have on hand as far as like equipment goes. That's super easy, low risk injury, very affordable are mini bands. So the mini resistance bands that aren't like not the giant ones, those are super bands, but I just like the little guys because they're so versatile. You can work your legs, your upper body, anything. And like I said, very low risk because, like, especially for people who are just getting into strength training or maybe they kind of question their form on stuff. So, because you're not lifting crazy weight, this is a much safer way to kind of ease into certain movements and exercises and that kind of style of training. So, and I always bring them when I travel. So that's a little plus because they just roll up into a little mini bag and I stuff it in the corner of my travel bag. And yeah,
That's
super easy, good go to. Just on Amazon, I think it was like under 20 bucks.
perfect. I think you sent me over a video of you in Hawaii doing a little exercise with your bands on. So
Yes.
definitely versatile. I have to say, I'm really excited to dive into today's topic with you because you have always been such a good role model and influence on me on prioritizing health. And it just has now become part of your routine. And I want you to dive as deep as you can, go into your first, I guess, memories really working out. How did you get into the love and like, how did you get in your career from working in fashion to like getting into exercise? Peel back the layers and tell us, how did you get to where you are? And let's have a chat.
Yeah, that's a very good question. How did I get to where I am now? So, yes, personal trainer right now, technically still certified, just renewed my certification, but hitting the rewind button. Yeah, so like growing up, I wasn't like super duper like active other than, being on the swim club, like the city swim club for a while, up until age 12, I think it was. And it was mostly just because my dad wanted me to stay active and healthy. I think I was starting to get a little extra weight on me as getting into elementary school and all that good stuff when there's more food, there's more snacks around. And then I remember, I think it was summer break, and I was supposed to be going to swim class or swim lessons consistently, but my dad would go to work during the day. And so I would lie that I was still going to swim class. I was so over it. I was like burnt out and just like didn't want to go. And he wasn't listening to me. He's like, no, Alaina, you got to stay active doing something. So he caught me by my swimsuit was still hanging in the bathroom. And I guess he like touched it. I don't know if it was intentional or maybe he brushed up on it, but he's like, Alaina, this swimsuit is not wet. And I'm like,
Uh-oh.
oh, I just don't want to go. And he's like, okay. So those were kind of my earliest memories of being like organized, active. And then, yeah, I was on the soccer team in high school for a sec. I got the most improved award, so that was cool. Got that little trophy. And basketball team, eighth grade bench warmer, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, anyways, then I think the biggest turning point for me, aside from like going to college and kind of same situation as before, like entering school is like you have the all you can eat buffet. I'm stressed studying, I'm out drinking. I was gaining some weight. And then right out of college, I had met a boyfriend and he worked at the YMCA and I was like always giving him the eye and I was like, oh hey. But then turns out he's not a good cookie because we ended up being boyfriend and girlfriend. And I had just gotten my first big girl job working at CBS Media Company because my major in college was actually communications. And so during that transition, I was less active, same idea, just stress eating probably. And he ended up breaking up with me because I gained a little bit of weight. And we had only been like dating for, I don't know, a handful of months, nothing insane. But I was like, he gave me a Facebook message because I'm like, something's off. Like, tell me what's going on. And he's
Not
like,
a
blah, 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 blah,
Facebook
blah.
message.
I know. And then, so when I got that, and it wasn't like a done deal necessarily, he wasn't breaking up with me, but he was telling me, like, this is what's up with me. I'm losing attraction. And so from then, I started eating like 5 almonds at a time kind of thing and like running because that's all I really knew to do at that time. So I just wanted a better like relationship with fitness and health and with myself and my own body. Obviously, that relationship didn't work out, but I didn't want it to, right?
For the best.
Yeah. So I kept up my job at the media company. I was a little sales assistant at the time. I went to a different media company doing sales and marketing. Then we moved from San Francisco Bay Area to the LA area, and that's where I was just
With
like, oh,
Benjamin.
yes, with Ben. Yes, that was our first big move adventure together. Um, and I got into a fashion company doing PR and marketing, which was like so fun in retrospect, but like, I don't know. I think I was just at the point in my career where I liked the idea of that kind of job, but it just wasn't driving me like it should have. Um,
I wanted to take
so,
a quick pause. Did you ever
yeah.
find, so just circling back to that boyfriend situation and the situation with college and food and eating and all of that, did you ever find that you were in a spot where you felt it was an unhealthy amount of eating or like unhealthy amount of weight loss? Or did you find that, you had that feedback from that person who clearly wasn't your forever guy, which I want to say fuck that guy, to be quite honest with you. But with that being said, like, did you find that you then chose to go into health and fitness for yourself? Was it something that kind of pushed you in that direction, or was it kind of just like a reaction to get into shape to kind of, you know, attract that person back, but also other people? Because I think if it were me, and we all have our stories I'd love to share as well, but like it is a hit of a confidence. And I'm sure Alaina felt that sadness and that like, oh my God, like this person, clearly he was a big jerk and wasn't your person. But like, take me back to those moments and those feelings. And was it always like you felt healthy with it? Did you find, is that what pushed you further into getting healthy?
Yeah, I think that like looking back, yes, that's kind of what started it. And unfortunately, in my experience, which happens a lot with women, is trauma kind of ignites something in you to make a change. And that felt traumatizing to me. It's obviously sticking with me. I unfortunately experienced like other trauma of like sexual abuse. And so it's just like kind of wanting to heal yourself and heal your relationship and your body and like treat yourself kindly and also just educate yourself because as I got fired up about it a little bit, like not necessarily wanting a revenge body, but just being like, you know what, I do want to do this not for him, but for myself. as you go along your journey, you start to also educate yourself, right? So you go
Mm-hmm.
through different steps. You get to learn what you like and don't like, what feels good for your body and what doesn't, and what fits into your routine best. And that's going to forever fluctuate as your life changes. But yeah, I think that's kind of what did it for me. And so, like, as I got into that fashion company in LA, back in whatever, 2016, they actually let go that position that I was in. Not necessarily like, oh, okay, you're gone, we're going to replace you, but like they just eliminated that position. They were making cutbacks. So I was like, what do I want to do with my life? Like, this is a fresh start. Like, what am I actually interested in? What do I like to pursue on my own time? Like, what are my hobbies? And that was fitness. So I was like, let me study my butt off. I got my certification through NASM, NASM, and I just studied really hard and I was passionate about it and it like truly interested me. And I practiced with Ben about like, oh, putting together programs and like all this stuff. And so yeah, that's kind of what kickstarted me into this like profession and like truly pursuing this like passion of mine.
Oh. Well, I've got goosebumps because I feel like, sometimes we all have little catapults in our life or some, tough moments that do push you into the next best thing. And I think some doors close so others can open. And I'm so happy that you were able to find something that kind of seems like your calling. And I mean, you were so spectacular at what you do. You've worked out with me, but also like I just find the way you inspire others. But like you're such a good role model with Chloe. You always talk about strong bodies, not skinny bodies. Like the words that you use in the house about let's find fuel and let's find food that makes our body feel strong. You don't really worry about like something else I notice is you never worry about like caloric intake. You don't worry about fat per this or the other. You just talk about balance and you've never used any of those scary big terms around Chloe. And I think that's such an admirable thing because I think it's so easy to go, oh, look, I've got the cellulite, or oh, look, I'm getting these stretch marks because I had a kid. And so your body changes. And the way you talk to yourself and the way you talk to Chloe is so beautiful. And I think it's really important to remember that our bodies have gone through so much through pregnancy and through life.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the strongest body we have, the version of ourselves today that we look in the mirror. We just look the absolute best. And I think it's spectacular how you get into it and how you're there. So now, take me to today or the past 10 years. So you've been training, and so you've been doing remote training, and you've got a couple in-person clients. Tell me a little bit more about like what the daily routine looks like for you. And, you're part of a women's only gym in Arizona. Like you can get some
Yeah.
plugs there. Like just tell us all the things.
Yeah. I mean, I do my absolute best, kind of like what you were saying, of just like choosing my words carefully because what you say matters and it kind of like from all the media, right? Or maybe your mom kind of pokes at you like calling you big bone. Like I've been called big bone before when I was growing up. So it's just like all those things really become deep rooted. So that's why I'm so careful with, of course, Chloe, but also just like other women in my
Yourself.
life because we're already told that. So it just gets old and it's not true. So, yes, my routine these days is like I'm 95% stay at home mom, but I've just kind of like had a couple of organic clients that I've kept along the way and kind of keeps me on my toes. I find so much joy in like creating workouts for other people and I love personalizing them because that's why I love being a personal trainer because every single body's different and it needs a little TLC in different ways. And my routine with Chloe and myself is going to the gym. We go to Mountainside Fitness, which is down the street. So Mountainside Fitness is a kind of a local chain around here, and it's a really nice facility. I lucked out, and they have an amazing childcare system for Chloe, so that's amazing. And I get to put her in there for 2 hours at a time. So I take my sweet time working out, whether I hit that 2 hour mark or not. So that's just a really nice setup for me to go to almost every morning, Monday through Friday with her. And whether it's me hitting an actual workout or me just kind of dilly-dallying on my phone on a yoga mat and doing some stretches here and there, I like that time for myself. And I just love the environment of being surrounded by like-minded people who are there for the same reason. And yeah, the women's only gym is called V. So they're originally from Washington and they have one location out here in Arizona, which happens to be in Chandler. And I love this gym. So they only have classes. That's the only like difference. They do classes only, and it's all female instructors, all female clients, very strength training focused, not necessarily the true definition of strength training because in order for that you need long rest periods, blah blah blah. But for classes, they typically they have barbells, kettlebells, all the toys. I call it toys in the box, toy box. So I just freaking love that environment because to feel so empowered by all these strong, like badass women next to you, like lifting heavy weight and doing all these strong movements, and like the music's bumping, and it's a really cool atmosphere. So I think it's so important to find these these places and these spaces like I've found at these two couple of gyms, or even my home gym, just anywhere that I feel safe and comfortable and like empowered to continue my fitness journey. So yeah, I'm digging it. Like, I'm glad you found that app for yourself, and like you have other outlets like going on your strolls in the beautiful like outside neighborhood and all that good stuff. And like, yeah, I think it's super important to find your tribe in that sense, because you have to take care of yourself too. You can't always be taking care of your family and your kids and all that good stuff. So, because like you grew up doing volleyball, so I
Yeah.
know you're like you have the athletic background. So how has it kind of like evolved for you growing up and coming out of literally being an athlete and then now like fitting in exercise when you can?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for remembering. So yeah, my I played volleyball quite competitively my whole life, and that looked different per different season. But most of the time, it was 2-a-day workouts. We'd have a workout period during school where we'd have 40 minutes where we would lift. It was a co-ed class, so girls and boys in there. And I think that was my first memory of weight is different based on like body mass, but also like muscle weighs more than fat. And I will never forget one of the classes we were in. It was a weight training class. And when I say weight training, we focused on barbells, deadlifts, all the Olympic lifts, and then we would do different days based on what was happening. But I remember we were forced to, by the curriculum, to get on a scale in the class around all your classmates.
Mm.
And I'm about 5'9", and I remember so vividly, I got on the scale and I weighed like, I think it was like probably 135, 140. And I was like, kind of confident in myself, but whatever. I was a little embarrassed. And I remember one of my teammates who was 6'4", just stacked muscle. She got on the scale and she weighed more, of course, than a couple of the guys in the class that were littler than her. And I just remember the look of pure like sadness on her face. And I noticed a change in her spirit and all of that. But
Mm.
we had a huge lesson afterwards that like muscle weighs more than fat. And we were all so athletic. We were training all the time. We had to be under a 7-minute mile at that point in our careers. So like we were very, very, very athletic, but every body shape is different. And so post that day and all that classes, we did have a female teacher come in, and we had a whole lesson on like how to prioritize, and how you look at your body in the mirror is going to look different based on your height, your family types, and the type of lifting we were doing. I mean, during off season, we were lifting heavy weights and we were just trying to get our jumps high and our muscles strong so you could hit the ball harder, all these things. And then on during season, we would do a lot more strength, like agility work and all these different types of fast muscle, fast twitch movements, stretching,
Mm.
like high hurdles and all these different things. And so I think that that relationship with working out then helped, because now I could go to a gym and I could follow a workout that I have memorized from then. My parents are super athletic. My dad still sees a personal trainer 2 to 3 times a week. And then he goes to the gym on the 2 days he doesn't go to a trainer. He goes to the gym on his own and then, does running and all these things. And so like working out is such a big part of who I was growing up. And then I had an ankle injury and had surgery. And I think that might be like one of those pivoting points in my life where I like kind of took a step back from exercising all the time and from my volleyball centric world, and saw there is life outside of constantly focusing on what my six pack looked like and how high my vertical was. And that was something that was so important to me at the time. It was the way that I was going to pay for my college. It was how I was going to continue on in my life. Like, I just didn't see anything else of that. And so it was such an interesting thing for me because I bounced back from that surgery quite quickly. I was back playing, I was back competing because I was younger and my body was responsive. And so I think a big shock for me is once I was, done having Cooper, he was born, he was 6 weeks. I was cleared to work out as women are told. I
Mm-hmm.
went to a personal trainer who I would just say he did the best he could, but he had never worked with anyone postpartum. He didn't know what pelvic floor strength looked like. He didn't know, I think, the trauma that a woman's body goes through. And so, yes, it was a one-on-one session, but I think it was the third session with him. I absolutely threw my back out and I was down for the count. I was in extreme pain. I was hobbling around. And I think that really put me off doing this sort of exercise for a little while. And my body did change and I did bounce back quick from Cooper, I think just because of nursing and walking and all these other things. But that was a really interesting thing for me to see how much I felt strong and all these different things I worked out throughout of all of my pregnancy with Cooper. And the second I was cleared to work out, my body didn't respond. And so that was a really big change for me. And I'm sure other women experience a sense of trying to familiarize yourself with your body once you have a kid. And I think in hindsight, I wish I would have gone to someone who specialized in or knew what a body was like postpartum, because it is different and you just have to embrace it instead of shy away from it and shy away from exercise. And it's something that I now have as a tool in my belt to do next time we have another kid. But yeah, it's different now. Like it's different juggling our careers. We live in a small town. I used to go to spin all the time. So I love spin and yoga. And once I healed my back up a bit, I was going to spin in yoga 2 to 3 times a week. And I loved that. That was my quote escape. My 45 minutes where my phone would be in the locker and I'd go to a class and I'd knock that out and then I'd come home. So that is something that I'm finding a little bit of differences are living in a smaller town.
Mm-hmm.
But in the same note, I live on the coast. And so I can go do a 5K walk in the mornings and the weather's perfect down here. There are smaller gyms that I could join. I just need to get out there and do it.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's the biggest takeaway for like literally anyone. Like even myself, I try to set realistic goals. And probably what comes to mind when I say that is like, okay, what's going to be my goal weight? And like, do I want a six pack or do I? But for me, goals means like it has to be realistic. Like maybe my goal is consistency and routine. So maybe trying to move my body and exercise 3 times a week. That could be a goal. Or maybe it's a performance goal. Like, I want to be able to squat my weight or whatever. That's what I love having performance goals, especially for people who aren't all the way there yet, right? Maybe you don't have such a big base to work with as far as like feeling comfortable and confident with exercise in general and like being very self-aware with your body. And everyone's different. So I think like, like with your circumstance, right? Like you're in still a location that you're trying to familiarize yourself with. Why is that such a tongue twister? And then, and then also whenever we end up being pregnant and then postpartum and then just going through these different like shells of our own body, it's just like, you kind of have to think on your feet a lot of the time of like anytime there's something different going on in your life. And that's another thing too, is like, let's say you do have a really good routine going on and you're feeling really good with your schedule and your program, your workout program and what you're doing. But like, let's say, oh man, I haven't gone to the gym or gone to class in a whole week or two. I feel so fat and obese right now. Oh my God. You know, exercise and fitness is a marathon. It's not a sprint. You have the rest of your life to establish this healthy relationship with fitness in your body and nutrition, right? Like food is fuel. And so we'll dive into that in a second. But like for me, my style is always looking at the big picture. I never want someone to think, oh, if you break a sweat, you got a good workout. If you're sore the next day, you got a good workout. Like those are not necessarily the determining factors of if you're doing your body good. So kind of like ask yourself those questions of, how do I actually feel after I get in whatever workout? Yeah, so just don't beat up your body just because you think that's what's right. And that's like so annoying that so many, especially women, think they just have to like beat themselves up just to like be fit, but find what works for you. And especially if it's a class or something, find your crew, find your socialization, get that body moving, and like get out of the house, leave the kiddo with your partner, and just get that time to yourself and your girls or your guys, whoever's in class with you. So I think that's so important to just like have that kind of be incorporated in your routine and your schedule, and like what kind of fills your cup, and like your general self-care.
I love it. Thank you for preaching that and reminding us all, because I think we do need the reminders to know that if you've missed a week or two, or you go on that holiday and then you have those extra cookies around the holiday season, that you can't jump back into it this season. There is no goalpost in life unless you're doing one of those fit competitions where you have that end date. You're always going to be, having the opportunity to go to the gym. You always have the opportunity to get outside and go. And I think something else we want to look at is be thankful for that our bodies are active and moving and that we're able to do those things. And you had just mentioned, and I'd love to hear a bit more. Tell us about this fuel. Tell us more about how you find good relationships with food, and how that can kind of change your moods and motivate you getting to the gym. Or tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. I mean, like, us being moms, you either don't eat anything at all, or you're snacking all the time because you're picking up what's left over on the kiddo's plate, grabbing what's convenient. And like, we're all human, especially like I said, when we're moms, like we got to live our lives, right? So take everything with a grain of salt. Do not do everything. You're not like a robot. You don't have to be a perfectionist, but unprocessed, like whole foods are always ideal. Doesn't mean you have to eat them all day, every day, but just always remind yourself of that. And like to make sure that you kind of focus on protein. People are always like, oh yeah, I heard that before, but I can't emphasize how big of a difference it makes, especially when you are an active person and you are so working so like hard in the gym, or like whatever movement you choose to do. Like protein is the best macronutrient for your body to maintain your muscle and grow it. So if you don't eat enough protein each day, like an average each day, then your muscle is what suffers the most. Okay. So like if you have a goal weight, and weight is very like, that's just a general number you can have in your head. Doesn't have to mean that when you step on the scale, you're hitting it. But if you think of a goal weight, maybe it's your current weight. That can be your goal for grams of protein a day. It's hard to do. I'm going to tell you that right now, like, especially even me trying to hit it. I'm just going to put out a number there, 100 grams of protein a day. I do not weigh 100 pounds and I don't want to, but that's my general kind of goal to hit each day. And you don't have to obsess over it. Just kind of be aware. And especially if you get a really good start first thing in the day, like for breakfast, if you hit like maybe even 20 to 30 grams of protein, like you're doing good. You're setting yourself up for success. I think that's a huge thing too, of like set yourself up for success and not failure by, number one, being realistic with your goals, and like also easing into things. So let's say you hardly eat any protein each day and you do want to try to test this out for yourself and like see how your body feels, and like you will get stronger too, of course, because you're actually like fueling your muscles and your strong body. Then, ease into it, start sprinkling more and more protein, like find out sources that are attainable for you and that you actually enjoy to eat. Maybe your kids eat it too. So I think that's super important, of like not just taking care of yourself at the gym, but also like fueling what you're working so hard on. So I think that's super important.
So can you give us some examples? So say there's a mom sitting here listening to this on their walk. Give us some examples. So start easy. What are some easy ways to add protein into your breakfast or lunch or dinner or some snacks? Like what are some of those go-to easy things for you that you always have in your house that we could kind of start implementing if that's something that we would like to do?
Yeah. I mean, animal protein is for sure like going to be the biggest bang for your buck. It's so dense and high in protein. So if you are a carnivore, then go for it. So like for breakfast specifically, eggs are amazing. Eat the whole eggs, dudes. Like don't just be scared of like, what is it, cholesterol, because it's the good kind of cholesterol. People get so scared of whole eggs and eggs yolks. So eat the whole eggs. You're not going to die, I promise, unless your doctor's saying you should stay away from them for whatever reason. And so also Greek yogurt. So Greek yogurt, especially non-fat for some reason, is higher in protein. So yeah, get a little Greek yogurt, some fruit, some honey, maybe even some granola. That's been my go-to. And yeah, that sets you up for success right there. So those are my biggest go-tos, honestly. And if you need to have a protein shake every now and then, I wouldn't rely on them. But like, let's say a few times a week kind of thing, especially if it really is hard to hit those numbers on certain days, then I for sure would have some protein shakes in your fridge.
Oh, I love that. And then one other question, and I'm not sure people think this automatically, but you have avocado or you have peanut butter and you see the fat content's high. Is it true that there's better fats for you, like good fats versus bad fats? Or like, I mean, from what I can understand, I'm sure the fat that you have in the chips or like the bag of, gross processed foods is worse than the fats that you get in the peanut butter and apples or whatever. But is that something that you would say steering away from those things that have high fat content, or do you just kind of have the balance throughout life?
I mean, use your common sense with it, right? Kind of like what you said, the bag of chips has fat, right? So, but that's so processed. And when you think of essential fatty acids, that's going to be in your avocados, your nuts, fish, right? Fish are high in omega-3s. So just kind of thinking of those when it's whole food like that, that's going to be your good fats. And it doesn't mean you have to eat like 5 avocados a day and like a jar of peanut butter a day. So kind of like balance it out, but don't be scared of those things. We need those good fats for us to just like be that fuel. So protein and fats, definitely, especially as women, it really feeds into your skin and like your healthy skin, your hair, all that. And like, if you prioritize strength training, I could have a whole episode on that, but having that, like that healthy muscle on your body, just like does your body wonders. So contributing to like good and healthy skin and just like collagen production and just like healthy hormone balance. And so please, ladies, pick up those weights and do your body some good in so many different ways. It'll even improve your sleep. So that goes hand in hand. So yeah, I think, use your common sense each day. Prep yourself for success. And like, when you're at the grocery store, pick up those foods, maybe try a new meal, sprinkle in some more protein. And I think the biggest takeaway too is not only are you taking care of yourself and prioritizing yourself after so many hours day after day, taking care of not just your kids, but probably your family, right? You probably have to do some things for your hubby, your partner, whatever it is. Maybe you're taking care of your elderly parents. Like we take on so much. So I think it's so important to also set the example to the rest of your family that it's a good thing to take care of yourself and to step away from being the caretaker for so many people, and show them what that looks like. Show them what a healthy, balanced lifestyle looks like. And I think that's a big takeaway. Yeah. Good big picture to kind of take from this.
I love it. Oh, you were just an inspiration, my friend. And
Thank
in some
you.
ways, I wish I lived closer to you for multiple ways, of course. But I think it'd be wonderful I feel inspired now after this chat. I want to get to the gym and I wish I could, be one of your clients in Arizona and just go work out together. But we've had a couple of sessions together and I left feeling good and it just motivates me now to get out there. And maybe the next week or so, you should post some of your foods that you're eating or whatever on your Instagram story. That could be kind of fun for our listeners to see what you're up to or a day of the life in the gym of you and just kind of keep us in the loop of it. And I think we should definitely circle back and do a full strength training and the benefits episode.
Super down. Yes. I could, like I said, I could talk all day about it. So I'm just like covering the bases here. Yes.
Well, checking out the guns as you're touching your ponytail now.
Just gotta flash them every now and then.
Absolutely. Well, I'm so inspired by you. Thank you for taking the time and chatting with us about this. And it was perfect. I feel good.
Yay. Yes. I feel lucky to have such a strong best friend and like we complement each other in the best ways. And I'm just glad that like whoever's listening, hopefully you kind of learn something and get inspired too, because we're strong women in so many ways. And I want you to feel that strength in the most healthy way possible. So yeah.
Perfect. Oh, I love you. And I can't wait to talk with you next week.
Yay. Sounds good. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for joining us on this week's episode of Mom Meets World. If you enjoyed listening, please give us a like, subscribe, and find us on Instagram at Mom Meets World Pod.
because sometimes you just need another mom to remind you that you're getting it right more than you're getting it wrong. See you next time.